So, in quite a similar way, there are times when the world is and times when it isn't. For it is the world that went on and on without the rest of forever and ever. It would have gone horribly, tired, bad of itself. It comes and it goes, now you see it. Now you don't. So, because it doesn't get tired of itself, it always comes back again. And then after it disappears. It is like your breath. It goes in and it goes out. In and out. And if you try to hold it in all of the time, you will feel terrible. It's also like the game of hide and seek because it's always fun. It's always fun to find new ways of hiding and to seek for someone who doesn't always hide in the same place. God also likes to play hide and seek, but because there's nothing outside God, he has no one but himself to play with. But he gets over this difficulty by pretending that he is not himself. This is his way of hiding from himself. He pretends that she is one of y'all, and I and you are all the people of the world, all of the animals, all the plants, all the rocks, the minerals, and the chemicals in the stars. It is this way we struggle and a wonderful adventure. Some of us will make horrible, terrible mistakes and be frightened to death, but we are just like bad dreams ourselves, and for when we wake up, we disappear with a fitch. Now, when God plays his part and pretends in the hide and seek game that he is you and I are mad, he does it so well that it takes him a long time to remember where and how he hid himself. But that's the whole fun of it. Just what he wanted to do. He doesn't want to find himself too quickly. For that, the world would spoil the leaves of the game in the soup. That is why it is so difficult for you and me to find out what we are here for. We are God in disguise, pretending not to be ourselves. And we've played the game so many times, long enough, that we wake up, we stop pretending, we remember that we're all one, a single self, the Godhead, and all that is, we live in each other forever and ever. I love you. Of course, you must remember that God isn't shaped like a person, more like an octopus. People have skins, and there's always something outside our skins. Pimples sometimes. Shoot, if there weren't for Pete differences would boot and hand with the outside experiences, out of body experiences to be equal. But God has no skin, no shape, because there isn't any for him, which is sufficient for an intelligent child to illustrate the Mobius strip. A ring of paper, Los Angeles, tape the twisted one suture, and a way that the suture spills out the guts of Hollywood. It's all the same in God. And though I have been talking about God as he or she, the man is God and the woman is God. The God, the da, esa. Didn't you say it because we usually say it for the things that aren't alive? God is the self of the world, and you can be the mirror to see God in the same reason. Bitch, mirror. You can look and see your own eyes, and you certainly can't bite your own teeth or look inside your gums through your head. You self skull this cleverly. It's God hiding. You may ask why. Sometimes he hides in a form of a horrible fox, or pretends to be people who suffer great disease and pain, or sniff butts. Remember, first, that he isn't really doing this to anyone but himself. Remember, too, that in almost all stories of Abdi enjoying the and well, good people for the thrill of it. The tales, to find how good peyote people can be for the better or the bad. It is the same when we play cards. At the beginning of the game, we shuffle them all into the intro with a mess, which is more like a bad thing in the world. But the points of the pilot, the winners of the shuffle, the cards get once more played again. And so it goes with the outer world. This story, obviously mythical in form, is not given as a specific scientific description of the way things are. Based on the analogies of games and the drama, and using that much worn and wear God. For the player XXCC, the story claims only to be like, the way things are, I use it just as many Abu. Images infiltrating and inflating a black balloon. White spots on it are the galaxies. To explain the expanding universe, but no most children and many adults, the myth is once intelligible. Simple and loving as a world, fascinating by contrast. So myth is at once intelligible, simple, and fascinating by contrast. So many outward kata, and you know how many people think that this is horrible. This is unintelligible prosperity. Guns and her, and I believe that Thalius of Christianity because it is absurd. People who think for themselves do not accept ideas of this kind. It's authority. The unto call and believing in miracles of strange doctrines, as Abraham felt commanded by God to sacrifice his son Isaac. George Harris put it this way: the social hierarchies of the past were some boss above you, above the punished. Any error conditioned by man, feelings of chain harsh authority reaching all the way up there. We don't feel this bond in today's egalitarian freedom. We don't even have, since Dr. Spock, many Jehovians, fathers of the human race, so the average unconscious no longer learns to seek forgiveness from a wrathful God above Anunnaki. But we continue. Our generations know a cold hell, solitarily confinement in this solitary confinement, and life without a God and a down Savior for us all, until man figures out and the ultimate ground of being humorous. No reasons, all of this for the existence of empathy. Finite, he knows only that will soon die. Since that, he has no meaning and sees no failure. Really, a person to be victimized by self-extinction, the ultimate ground of being Paul Tillich. Decontaminated terms of God willingly as self for the world. And I put it in my story for the children of the world. But also the secret, which my story slips over to the child, is that the ultimate ground of beginning is you. Not, of course, the everyday you, which grounding and assuming, pretending to be, but the imposter syndrome, which escapes inspection, because it's always the inspector. This then is a taboo for the taboo boo. And baby boo, yeah, cultures. This is a touchstone of insanity, the backset of blemishes, and a wild delusion of ego. This, we believe, is the ultimate melogamia and an inflation of the hand. We knock it down by the other form of generation. We kick the stuffing out of our children's hands to them more, and they know their place. And to behave, they think and feel, and they're prosperous in their modesty, as believes the little ego among many. And many mothers used to say, "You're not the only pebble on the beach, you know." Anyone in his right mind believes that this is God, should be crucified, burned at the stake, though now more cherishable, noticeable views for that point, right mind caught believe such nonsense. Oh, idiot, you've conceived yourself as an omnipotent ruler of the world, expecting everyone else to fall down and worship your feet. But this is because I think of God as the king, queen of the universe, bound, absolute, treacherous, personality, and consciously you control every detail of this cosmos. And that is not the kind of God of my story. In fact, it isn't my story at all. For the student of any history or religious group, explaining a Vedanta philosophy to Vedanta teacher and followers, we consume more than all of them united in a unity of collections of dialogues, stories, poems, some of which go back at least 800 years. Sophisticated Hindus, Russians, Caucasians. It's all about the black game, their god underneath rather than above. Everything, and he or she plays the world from it. One might say that religion is the opium for the people. The Hindus have the inside dope. What is more than the Ganges and its flow to the Hindu who realizes that he is God in disguise and without seeing same? True for everyone and everything else in the Vedanta philosophy, nothing exists except, you're right, God. That seems to be treacherous once again, and we're making a point by the din and the universe of seemingly separate things, and therefore real only for a while, whale, eternally real for the dolphin play, and golfing, self hides, self seeks. Ah, it's all self. But Vedanta is much more than the idea of the belief that is so and so, it currently, and the experience is not mature, it's green and immediately knowledgeable of being so, and for this reason always Googling the second, ooh, ethereal. Turns out that the world, inside out and outside in, is likewise a saying attributed to Jesus himself. When you make the two one, and when you make the inner as the outer, and the outer as the inner, and the above as the below, then shall you enter the kingdom. And I am the light that is above them all, and I am all, and I came forth from me, and the all attained to me. Cleave a piece of wood, and there I am. Lift up a stone, and you will find an ant. Today, the Vedanta disciple comes down to us after centuries of involvement with all the forms, attitudes, and symbols of Hindu culture. And he's flowering and slowing demise over nearly 2,800 years, surely wounded by Islamic fanatism and fanaticism and corrupted by the British Puritanists. As often set forth, Vedanta rings no bell in the West. It rings no bell in the East and attracts mostly the fastidiously spiritual and diaphanous kind of people who you're possibly seeing in the essential package of the present day idiom. And when this is dead and doomed into the exotic trappings, Sanskrit terminology arises, and the postures of spirituality get engraved with messages that only one, as a clear person with no soul, in a special instrument of the interest in Oriental religions, is also very joint as a cult in the build. So unselfishness, which is the effort of the identity. Unselfishness is a part to be apt highly frequently refined by egotism comparable to the gap, which plays the game of we are more tolerant than you. The Vedanta.